Senator Cantwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I too have asked for the same memo, so I want to follow on in the same line as Senator Cruz. I also want to associate myself with the information you're requesting on spectrum interference. This is one of the issues that I think, one of the reasons why I think spectrum and spectrum fights are so important is because I think the agencies with adjacency and issues, we can't leave this up to the flying public. And but I want to go back because Brigadier General, you mentioned in your testimony, we now have the additive dialogue that we just heard, but you said it's not allowed. You're saying it's not allowed. ADBS out was not allowed. That's what you said earlier. Is that in your testimony? In addition to the Holmes letter, you basically stated that using ADBS out, it's not like it was it was not allowed.
Army policy is ADSB out is not to be used for routine use.
Okay, so acting administrator, did you know this? Did the FAA know this? Did the FAA know and understand and absorb this? Did you know that you were allowing a flight to go within 75 feet of each other and there was no signaling message that we have already identified as a safety measure is something that we have had as a requirement?
So I understand the FAA was aware of this. We have an existing memorandum of agreement with the Department of Defense.
Did you know it was 100% as the Eleanor Holmes Norton and as the Brigadier General is pretty clear this morning, we don't allow it, even to the point of not answering Senator Cruz when they're going to change it, because I'm pretty sure their attitude is going to be, we don't allow it. He's going to say he would rather have a route somewhere where he can fly without it. That's what he's going to say. And so, you know, that's a separate issue over here. Our job, though, is the FAA oversight, and you can't give exemptions to things that you don't understand. And so he, in their application, kind of made it sound like, well, it's not going to be that routine, but he's very clear. They're never turning it on if they don't have to. They're never turning it on. So what I don't understand is why the FAA didn't understand that. Why you would allow this design. This is the wrong design. Whoever said you could fly in this airspace this close together without a safety feature that was already being required by the FAA and then giving them an exemption makes no sense. So why did you allow it to happen?
So I can't speak to why the previous administration may have allowed for that memorandum of agreement, which is why we, effective today, will require in any DCA Class B airspace, ADSB out to be turned on, except in very limited circumstances.
What are those other limited circumstances?
So that
other
would-
agencies? Is there any other agency that's doing this?
So that we have 46 different helicopter operators within the National Capital Region. But again, DCA Class B airspace will now require ADSB on to be out.
What other agencies are operating this way?
So we have certainly a number of military units. We have local law enforcement. We certainly have the Department of Justice and FBI. We have a number of different agencies that fly the Park Police, and those are the entities that we're working with closely now to make sure, first and foremost, they understand the new restrictions that we have in the airspace.
Do they have exemptions?
Some of them do.
Are you concerned about this?
Absolutely, which is why we immediately put in place the requirement to have ADSB out on.
And so you think they're operating that way?
Yes, ma'am.
You think that Homeland Security is operating that way?
They are operating, effective today, they will be operating with ADSB.
Effective today?
Yes, ma'am.
So for the last month, you've known, as I am going to submit for the record, a letter from the Department of Homeland Security that basically says, under the Federal Aviation Waiver, all U.S. Custom and Border Protection, air and marine operations in the capital region basically have this exemption as well.
So
And
they haven't had.
So I want to understand, if people were
Sure.
still flying in this airspace, we all fly in and out of this airspace.
Right.
Do we now have to worry about other operators in this airspace that may be doing the same thing as happened with the military.
So
And
I
now
should-
you're telling me you're going to take action today.
I should clarify, immediately after the accident, we put the restrictions in place so that no mixed traffic could occur. No helicopters and fixed wing in the same airspace. Today, we're requiring the ADSB out to be on. So previous to this day, the fixed wing as well as helicopters were not allowed in the airspace. So we cleared the complexity of that airspace.
Now today, you're going to say to Homeland Security, you have to have ADBS, basically the automatic surveillance broadcast system has to be on. You're going to make that today.
That's correct.
Well, I
For
would.
any of the Class B airspace that you can see in the graphic, in that red airspace, that's required.
Acting Administrator, you're not building faith in this system of oversight of the FAA if you're telling me that we now have a bunch of other operators in this airspace that you now said after the accident were prohibited, but now you're going to turn it back on, and if they meet this requirement. And we have letters from them thinking that they're exempted. I want to see this rule. This would have been a great debate with Mr. Bradbury before the committee, because the American people, these poor families have lost loved ones. This is not their day job. It is your day job. It is the day job of the FAA not to allow these exemptions to become prolific and everybody use them, and then us have to sit here and figure out how to do our oversight job of you to make sure that these details are exposed, when we can't even get a memo from some of these agencies. So, Mr. Chairman, I know my time has expired, but I will come for a second round with the witnesses, because I think it's clear. The NTSB has been very clear on the requirements for ADSB in, and in this case, if they would have listened to them, it's $40,000 to equip, $20,000 to equip one plane. You could probably equip the whole fleet of aviation for $100 million. I guarantee you their lives, the family lives, are worth that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.